Susan, right, for today?
Cody pinged me, and he came down with a flu,
Okay.
and so he may not be able to join. I think he's probably not going to join. He's been sick
Uh,
for the last couple of days.
Perfect. So I think that Susan might be able to discuss the proposal in place of Cody. At least that was what it looks like from your update.
You mean for the website?
Not really. Sorry, maybe I am confused.
I think for the project board, it was just Cody.
Yeah, no, it was just Cody, right? Okay, so without Cody, we don't really have an agenda for today, so we can make up one on the fly.
We can probably review the open issues for the issues we want to cover before the next release, because we scheduled the next release for next Wednesday.
Yeah, that's a good idea. All right. So should we start from GitHub then? Should we move to GitHub and start discussing them, or do we want to wait to see if somebody else joins? Because I see we have Kobe in the meeting. I see Jun is connected as well. I don't know if we want to wait for somebody else.
I assume likely probably just us.
So let's get started then.
Are you going to share your screen, Salvatore?
Oh yeah, so I was thinking you will do that, but I can do that. Okay. All right. So let me first open the open issues. Give me a second. Okay. Then releases. Right, issues. Okay, let's start share the screen. Perfect. So let's get started. And do we have a milestone right for the next release? Yes, we do. Perfect. So we have 6 issues. Some of them are brought up from previous releases. So let's go to the state of each of them. Maybe let's start with the CLI. I mean, let's process them in order, the order that we see on the screen. I don't know what's the status of the CLI. Can maybe, I don't know if Antonin or Jun can provide an update on this topic.
So yeah, I think the PR is about ready to be merged. I know that Chan approved it, and I also left a small review yesterday because I had not taken a look at it for a while. So I think it's probably going to be merged, like hopefully before the end of this week. So definitely in time for the
Awesome.
because there was nothing blocking, just minor things.
And I think that we are also done for the IPsec ESP tunnel, right? The second one.
So for CLI, the thing that it will be merged, but so far it has only one command to dump the version. I believe Zhe Chen and Wei Qiang are working on dumping more information, but I'm not sure it can catch their R3 or not. And for IPsec, the code is merged. But I mentioned to you, so far I can make it work with GRE tunnel. According to the OS folks, it should work with any tunnel type like Vesta, GDiv, and STP.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm still discussing with Ansys from OS. Basically, he's an implementer of the IPsec tunnel for open research to see what's the issue. But anyway, I think if we can just make GRE work, probably I'll just document IPsec only for GI. We can say it's supported in their also.
Okay. All right. So Antonin, instead, what about the cleanup upon Antrea removal?
Yeah, so I open so basically in that issue, I described the approach I wanted to do, and I also opened a PR to start implementing that approach. It's not complete right now. So as a basic idea is that we have a new YAML, a small YAML manifest file for cleanup, and basically you apply it, and it creates a daemon set which is going to perform the necessary cleanup on each node if needed. And so I open a PR which does that. I'm waiting for feedback on this because if people think it's not the right approach, then I'll go a different way. But there is a PR which should be linked in this issue.
And I mean, this is might be, oh, there it is, sorry. And basically then this daemon set that you create, once it's done, the user just deletes it and it's finished, right?
Yeah, so basically there is a daemon set, but there is also like a Kubernetes job, which is going to wait for the different agents in the daemon set to report their status. And so it's going to collect errors, and it's also going to make sure that everyone has a chance to complete. And when it's complete, the job is going to return. And then, yes, you have to delete the YAML because even if we use the job to delete the daemon set, which is possible, you still have to delete the job, basically.
Yeah, you'll always be left with something to delete. That's okay. I don't think it's a big deal. Okay, so I think that we can keep this one targeted for 030, right?
I don't know if I get some feedback soon, then I can probably like do the necessary adjustments and
Okay.
finalize my
So
PR, but
let's all try to give reviews in the short term so that we can get this one done, and we can get this one in. Instead, Kobe, regarding the Prometheus, you were saying that what was the deal with the agent?
No, nothing. I think it's some misconfiguration on the YAMLs or something.
But then basically you have
some new mistake on my side.
You have the Prometheus agent, the Prometheus exporter code. It works as long as you're not running in the container, and it reports the metrics to Prometheus, right?
Yeah, I have that on the agent, and I kind of have to initialize it on the controller as well, because I think Weichan added some stats.
Yeah.
Prometheus stats, so I just have to initialize it.
Okay. And I think while, I mean, it seems like the problem that you are having is more like a packaging, let's say, problem, like making sure that it works in the container. Because, perhaps it might be the case of pushing the code for review so that we can start providing feedback if you can do that.
Yeah, I kind of have to tidy it up as well, probably.
If the code is not ready, is it possible to update the issue
with
a small scale update so that everyone is aware of the progress?
Of course, yeah.
Because I don't think, the GitHub issue hasn't
been... I just push it as a whip or something.
Okay, so let's see if we can get the code up for review in a day. Maybe we can still keep it targeted. Otherwise, I think that nobody will die if we move this to the next release. Then support for no incap mode. I think that at this stage this is still just a proposal, right? We don't even have POC code from what I know.
There is a PR open. I haven't had time to look at it yet.
That PR is still working in progress, right?
Yeah, it is. It's PR 302.
No, not this one. The last one.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, 301, I guess.
I think it's not completed. Probably not ready for review.
Mm-hmm. I did not review any at all this one. But do we have a document that describes the approach?
Yeah, we have a doc linked to the issue.
Okay, perfect.
So actually, how about the permissions? Do we have a doc? I know we have a doc, but have we updated doc?
I don't think that we have uploaded the document to upstream. Yeah, we should do that. We should upstream documentation.
Yeah, that's why I meant by updating the issue with a status update.
Yeah, that's a good point. All right. Okay, so maybe we want to follow up with the PR author regarding this work item. I mean, at very high level, it doesn't feel like it's in a stage so that we can think about including it in the release, even with an alpha state. But I would like also to understand what is your opinion on it. So shall we wait?
I personally feel probably we don't need to wait for any of these features in my mind.
I understand. And so regarding the last two issues, so for exposing the logs publicly for the Jenkins CI job, I mean, this is not even, let's say that this is not strictly tied to the release. I just wanted to know if it seems that we have code under review for this, right? Oh no, sorry, I opened the wrong one. I did the Y.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how this one expose logs publicly for the CI job.
So I think there is progress on this. I think it's just moving slowly. I know
I
that
see.
Zhang Sheng and Zisheng have been talking to VMware's IT so that we can expose some HTTP.
Yeah, but I've been following that ticket, but it's not yet sorted out. But anyway, this is, as I was saying, this is not something that as a tangible deliverable in the release, right?
No, it's not. It was just to target a date. I think that we put it.
Okay. So maybe we can check with John Shong what's the state about this item. And finally, Antonin, for what about supporting kind on macOS?
Yeah, I added this like right now because I realized that actually what we do for Linux support also works for Mac support. I
Okay.
just assumed it wasn't going to work, so I didn't even bother trying. And I did some more investigation when I had some time yesterday, and I realized that it actually works the same because on macOS with Docker Desktop, every container actually runs in a Linux hyperkit VM. So basically, what we do for Linux, we can also do within that VM and fix the networking. And by fix the networking, I just mean disabling TX checksum offload on the containers interfaces. So everything works the same. And I tested it on my laptop. So I have a PR open, which actually just opens the documentation.
Yeah.
And when this is merged, I think this can be.
Okay. Good. So this completes the list for the release. Is there anything else that we would like to add? Any bug fix mostly?
I believe we faced quite a lot of bug, right? And basically, some issues we identified in CQE scale tests. I cannot remember the complete list.
Yeah, I mean, we can quickly go through the list. Do they have labels? These issues, like,
I guess no.
Okay, let's. If they were reported recently, we just order them by date, by newest. They're already sorted by newest. So this one, for instance, when the agent has restarted removal of the stale OVS flows, but
There's a PR open for this one, and it's
yeah, but I mean, this issue is reported 2 days ago, but I think that you already fixed an issues like this in the past, or not? Because this was reported also in the past, right?
That's a different. You're thinking of a different issue, I think. You're
Okay.
thinking about when the OVS container is restarted, then we have to replace the flows.
Oh, right. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah,
That
one
is true.
I actually just marked it with a release right now. So it's
Okay.
going to close the issue. This one, there is a PR open. I'm talking to Chan about it. I don't know if it will be merged in time. So
perfect. And the 300 is probably also something that we want to include if we needed to do IPsec.
Not really. I mean, it can be better if we fix that. If even we don't fix that,
yeah,
Okay.
maybe you have a
So
extra
that
port.
there will be just an unused port, the tunnel port,
Yes.
basically. Very okay.
That's right.
Okay, perfect. Mhm. Right. Then Alok reported this bug on node port.
Yep.
This has been open now for 19 days. Did we have a chance to triage it at least?
I think Chen already root caused it. It's a little complex, but basically, what will happen that if some client access the service using node port with our current implementation, I'm saying with our current implementation, if the service is if the backend port is on the same node, that policy will not take effect. That means we will always allow the traffic.
Okay, I understand. Yes, because basically we just bypass open with switch
Right.
pretty much, right?
I think the reason that we do SNet first before, could be possible to do SNet first before our net policy flows in open with switch. So we just see the node IP. For another thing that I believe this behavior is not really clearly defined in Kubernetes. So
yeah,
I think there are different implementations. China has some discussion. We are kind of thinking maybe better we drop the target. Unless you have a policy to allow the. I think ideally we should drop the packet unless you have a net policy to allow the.
yeah, right. No, that makes sense. Okay, we'll probably wait for this one. We'll wait also for some feedback from SIG and SIG network to understand what should be our behavior in this case. All right, so then we have a really quite a lot of issues open. Honestly, I don't remember of any issue that is critical enough that really must be included in 0.30, but if
I just
you
added 276 because I know that the Chen has an open PR for it.
yeah, I mean, if we have open PRs and there are good chances to merge them, yes, then let's include them. Speaking of which, maybe in order to define which issues we might include, instead of looking at the issue list, it might be better look at the PR list and have a look at the open PRs and see which one are mature enough to be considered for merge. So the one that you were just mentioning by Chuan is this one about improving the robustness of the process? I don't think so.
The one I just mentioned is improve robustness of.
This one, the deletion process. Perfect. So we can merge this one and fix the issue, and then we have documentation. This one is about documentation. Using kind in the CI, which is doesn't have to be tied to any milestone. Using a consistent mechanism to skip tests on the kind cluster is the same thing. Delete state flows on agent restart. We already discussed about it. This one is documentation, right? Including the OVS pipeline referencing contributing doc.
Yeah.
And this is work in progress, work in progress. Use bundle to add multiple OpenFlow entries in one transaction. Yeah, I know what this is about. What this is about performance of OpenFlow operations, right?
Also, I think improve robustness of the OpenFlow client, because especially for network policies, like one update from the controller can map to multiple flow updates. And I think currently we try to do a rollback in case of a flow add failure, which is a bit clunky. When we do bundle, because of the transactional semantics, it's actually much easier to do error handling, because basically either you add all the flows you need or you don't add any of them.
Yeah. So I think you reviewed this PR. Do you think that we are at a maturity level that we can include it in the next release?
Yeah, I think we're almost there. I
Okay.
need to look at it. I know that Wenying pinged me on Slack, and I think she addressed some of my comments. So
Good. And finally, the AntCTL framework. We already discussed this issue, and I guess that now we can. This completes the list. So I think now we have a clear picture for what goes into 0.3030. Let's say that the two open items, the open items are what we do about Prometheus, and the other one is about the knowing cap mode. So far, I believe we are leaning to move them out of the release for both of them. Probably,
I don't think we'll have like tests in place for knowing cap mode by.
Yeah, even from Prometheus, we might want to have some sort of testing integrated in the CI, right?
Yeah.
Even though Prometheus is something which is kind of orthogonal to Antrea, so you can enable it or not. So it's not like a part of the core components. I think that the agent that Kobe is implementing, and correct me if I'm wrong, Kobe, is being done in a way that you can run it, not run it. It's the user's choice. Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, perfect. All right, so I believe that this might conclude the discussion about 030. Anything else that we want to bring up for this release? Apparently not. So the only additional proposal that I wanted to bring up for possibly a future release is to run Antrea as a networker for OpenShift 4. In order to do so, we will need to develop some additional components that interact with the OpenShift API server. They have a fairly complex mechanism that in some ways it resembles a bit Cloud Foundry if we want. Basically means that you start a cluster and you get hundreds of pods that you don't know what they are doing. Pretty much like when Cloud Foundry, where you have all those VMs that it takes quite some time to figure out what they are doing. What are the challenges there? The main challenge is that the image, the base image, cannot be Ubuntu. Basically, if we want to certify Antrea with Red Hat, the base image has to be either Red Hat Enterprise Linux or what they call it's basically CoreOS, but they have a different name for it, like unbreakable file system, unmodifiable file system, immutable file system, something like that. So we will need a different base image. We will need an additional component that's called, let's say, an operator. I think that it's a concept that's fairly common in Kubernetes. And the role of this operator would be overseeing Antrea deployment and then updating an ad hoc cluster network resource in OpenShift, where basically we need to tell OpenShift that the cluster network is ready, provide which is the service network sider, provides which is the pod sider, and so that we can proceed with the deployment. Let's say from a strictly open source perspective, I don't see this as a very useful thing, meaning that if we want to focus exclusively on the Kubernetes upstream community, then OpenShift is a little bit out of that. Let's say it's a sort of a different ecosystem if you want. In terms of adoption, however, it could be relevant in terms of user adoption because so far OpenShift has only used its own SDN, which is still Open vSwitch based. Now they are opening up their ecosystem, and the other networker the only alternative network that can be run apart from OpenShift SDN is OVN, which is officially supported, and a third-party network integration. I think it's already available with Calico. OpenShift has two flavors: the Enterprise, which is properly called OpenShift Compute Platform, which is a paid-for product, and then there is OKD, which is the open source version. Summarizing, this is just a very high level of what we can do. If you think it's something valuable, at least to be tracked, I can create an issue for it with a list of items that need to be done, and then we can target it to a future release. Otherwise, if you think like
correction here.
Yep.
So in this case, do we need to talk to the Red Hat first, or you're thinking it's an open ecosystem, we can just make change by ourselves and then?
The thing is that if we want to go in, also have allow enterprise customers to run Antrea, then we will need to talk to Red Hat because there is a certification process that we need to follow. But if our target is the open source version, it used to be called OpenShift Origin, now it's called OKD. If it's just that, I believe that we can develop an integration without having to do a process with Red Hat. Then, if this works, if we get adoption, and if we see that we also have adoption from enterprise users, we can go for the official certification with Red Hat.
But do you know any other thing I doing is? I mean, for Owen, I assume Red Hat has made a change, right?
Yes, Oven is been basically they have a bunch of operators that do all the cluster configuration, and for Oven they have hard coded it. So basically, you really go into their code and they see if network type is OVN, then generate all the configuration for AVN and deploy it. Instead, if you have a network type that it's not recognized by their built-in operator, then what happens is that it's up to you to deploy your networking system. But OVN and OpenShift SDN are baked in the system. In theory, since this code is open source, it's not like private code. We can even think of pushing for supporting it, supporting Antrea, but this code is in repositories that are controlled by Red Hat. They're open source but controlled by Red Hat. So in that case, it's a conversation that will take more time.
And we need to also to figure out the differentiator of Antrea compared to OKN or OpenShift SDN in OpenShift environment, right? So in order to set some kind of priority on this, right? So otherwise, why people would go to Antrea? So we need to figure out why someone would replace the default OpenShift SDN with Antrea.
Well, it's also a matter of saying why people would replace the default OpenShift SDN with OVN. Some of those concepts apply to Antrea as well, as we know.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
But you a good point, because I'm saying that in terms of features, if you think about it, there isn't much difference between OpenShift SDN, OVN, Antrea. In terms of Kubernetes support, they all do the same things.
Yeah, it makes sense. Okay, so we need to then narrow down why Antrea and not OKN. At least in order to assess is it worth to invest time in this, right? Because if we do exactly the same thing but different way,
So basically, that's why I don't want to go into starting a conversation with Red Hat, because I know that that's going to be time consuming, and I know that there will be questions that we will need to answer, like if people can use OVN and not really OpenShift SDN, because OpenShift SDN versus OVN is pretty much clear, but why they will like to put Antrea on the same level as OVN. It is a discussion that probably will go on for years, So I was thinking of doing the integration like as a third-party network operator. Okay, so basically not integrated in the OpenShift deployment process, but done in the same way as third parties are done at the moment, like Calico, for instance. And I believe that there is a way that I believe that even Cilium can do that. So basically, you deploy, you tell OpenShift, hey, I'm using Cilium as networking. So the OpenShift network operator does nothing, and Cilium itself has some component for deploying itself in the OpenShift cluster, and same thing for Calico. And initially, if you remember, in the earliest releases of OpenShift for OVN, it was the same process. Then now they've made it built in OpenShift.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Anyway, I don't think that this is something that we want to do with high priority. It is something that we might need to consider and have it on the roadmap, just in case when we start getting feedback from the user community, we'll get the odd request, hey, I want to run Antrea on OpenShift 4. What's your strategy for that?
Yeah, actually, now when you said this, I think it makes sense to open an issue just to keep a track on this. So we might decide to do it or not to do it, but yeah, it is worth to have an issue just to have a track on this item.
All right, sounds good.
Do you want to take care of that, Salvatore?
I will take care of that, yes, probably tonight. And then regarding existing issues, I have been in the past weeks, I've did some work on the dual stack front. So basically, we need to redo large chunks of our IPAM code because I've realized that our IPAM code at the moment, it assumes a single IPv4 address. So I was starting working on that, but unfortunately, life is tough, and then I got caught with other issues. But as soon as I have some time, some spare time, I will try and resume work on that. Once we address the IPAM part, I think it will be, the next step will be also to test, to do some changes in the CNI client to make sure that it can return both the v4 and the v6 address. Actually, I believe there should not be this change, but basically we just need to test things end to end. And as for network policies, it's very likely that they will need also some changes as well to create the flows both using the v4 addresses and the v6 addresses. And we will need changes also on the sorry, I was saying we will need changes in the way we deploy kube proxy because it has to be in IPVS mode. Even though probably for the next Kubernetes release, we will be probably able to use a proxy in iptables mode also for dual stack, but this has not yet been done. Right, so this is my update on the IPv6 dual stack front. And say that, I will shut up and not talk until the end of the meeting, or at least I'll try to.
Hey, this is your friend from MapView.
Hey, I think I've seen you somewhere.
Okay.
I think I've seen you already.
Kind of recognize me? Okay. Since we talk about a lot about the Red Hat stuff, or OpenShift, and also in MapView, we are also in serious consideration of the Antrea into our product. So one of the products we are thinking about is on the PKS, and the other is the guest cluster. Probably already know. On the I'm just wondering, do we have some document which compares different CNI, like currently Antrea, what's the functionality that was Antrea provide compared to other CNIs like Calico? Because people talk a lot about Calico. Do we have a comparison of the functionality of this with the Antrea?
Not by Antrea project. But actually, Cody is managing all this CNI comparison evaluation. Probably you guys should contact her.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a spreadsheet. I think you may want to reach out to him.
Okay, I'm going to Cody. So then on the other side, so I heard that somebody is testing this. Is any body, any team that's testing this Antrea, like Loka is on CKU team, so they already have testing this in Antrea in scale environment.
Yep, we did some scale test internally.
Okay, so do we have some numbers so it compares or?
Yeah, I can forward you the email thread about that. But at high level, the scale is pretty good. I think we test with 100K ports, and at least 20K letter policies.
20K, okay, that's pretty good. Okay. Is any document Confluent page you can share or any?
I don't know the conference page, but at least let me check the email thread on this. I can follow you email thread. Any document link there.
And guys,
Okay.
just a reminder that this is a community meeting and that we record this and we publish it on YouTube.
Okay.
But I think it's still a relevant question. I think we've been running some scale tests internally at VMware, but that's probably some results we could share with the community at a later date. And
yeah, sure.
Yeah. I don't think anything are confidential here anyway.
Yeah, but I don't think we should talk too much about conference documents that people won't.
I mean,
that makes sense. Makes sense.
Yeah, that's right. If we refer to tools that people then won't be able to access. But these numbers, it might be good once we polish them and we validate that we captured these numbers with the correct procedure. It might be nice to share them also upstream, not in a form of comparison. I don't like doing that, and I don't think they're extremely meaningful. But at least in terms of absolute numbers referring to Antrea, that would be a good idea.
Yeah.
It's just that I don't want to just take them and share them because, when it comes to scale testing, the process, the design of experiment, the metrics that get collected are also extremely important. So first, we probably want to review how we gather this data. And then once we assess that the data that we are going to share can be trusted, we'll do that.
Yeah, makes sense. And from the developer side, actually, we are also adding dev test will be merged to the repo. So maybe it's also a good way to run this test and share the number there.
Okay, that's all I have. Thanks. I will think about offline with Cody as well. Thanks.
Thanks for coming to the meeting, Tom. Anyway, so
I think the only thing I can think of now is last time for the release, we reviewed the features we had in alpha and beta status, and we decided to graduate monitoring CRD support to beta. Do we want to do anything similar for this release?
On top of my head, I don't remember of anything that needs to be promoted for this release. But
the only thing I can think of is the Octane support, maybe, because I know that Mengdi did a lot of work on this, and we're publishing an image now, a Docker image, which includes the Octane distribution and our plugin. So I don't know if you want to consider promoting this to beta status, or if we want to wait for the next release to see if there is any issue with that.
Technically, if we follow the Kubernetes ecosystem approach, we will need to get third-party feedback before calling it beta.
All right, that works for me. Well, Tong was our third party, and he told us it was broken, so Mengdi fixed it.
Okay, then he counts as a third party.
I'm third party, yeah.
But okay, let's wait for the next release.
Sounds good.
Nothing else on my side, so.
Nothing else on my side as well. And anyone wants to bring up an additional topic? I don't know, Kobe, Yazen, Junjun?
No, I'm good for now. I'm just in learning mode.
Yeah, not
for me.
All right, sounds good then. So we can stop the recording here. Thanks for coming to this meeting. And just before we close the meeting, so what should be our agenda moving forward. I guess the topic that was in the agenda for today should get pushed to next week. So we're going to have next week's meeting, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, makes sense, perfect. So see you next Wednesday at 9 p.m. Pacific time, 9 a.m. Pacific time, 6 p.m. European time. Thank you very much and have a good one.
Yep.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Go on, bye.
Thank you, bye-bye.
Mhm.